You believe power is about glory, admiration, and respect. But what if I told you the true nature of power is built on fear, manipulation, and scarcity? What if the very people you trust are the ones waiting for your weakness? Today, we unravel the shadows of control, deception, and human nature through the eyes of Machiavelli. In a world where kingdoms fall and leaders are betrayed, one truth remains constant. Power is never clean. It is never pure. It is survival dressed in the robes of nobility. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, and his wisdom still slices through the illusions of modern life. Today, we uncover the dark realities of life, people, and power, and expose why only those who master control will endure. Power has always been the most desired treasure of mankind. Kingdoms have burned for it, families have betrayed each other for it, and entire civilizations have risen and fallen under its weight. And yet, most people still believe in the illusion that power is noble, that it is pure, that it is granted by virtue and righteousness. But the truth is far darker. Power is never innocent. It is born from conflict. It is sustained by manipulation, and it survives through fear. To understand power, you must first strip away the comforting lies you were taught. Because Machiavelli reveals that behind every throne, behind every empire, behind every great name, lies a shadow of blood, deceit, and strategy. You see, people prefer to think that rulers are chosen because they are good, that the strongest leaders are those who serve with kindness, generosity, and morality. This belief comforts the masses because it allows them to imagine a world where justice prevails. But Machiavelli knew that justice is rarely the architect of power. What truly shapes power is necessity, and necessity does not ask what is right. It demands what is effective. A leader who clings to ideals over results may gain admiration, but he will not keep his throne. He will be admired briefly, then overthrown, forgotten, or killed. History has shown us that the noble often perish while the cunning survive. The dark side of power is that it requires a mask. A ruler must look merciful even when he is merciless, generous even when he withholds, honest even when he deceives. Appearances are the armor of power. The world judges by what it sees, not by what is real. People want to believe their leaders are virtuous, but what they truly obey is strength. A wise leader, therefore, is an actor upon the stage of politics, wearing the costume of virtue while practicing the art of survival. This deception is not cowardice, it is survival itself. Machiavelli tells us that men are ungrateful, fickle, and easily corrupted. Their loyalty lasts only as long as their needs are met. Today they cheer for you, tomorrow they curse your name. This is why power cannot be built on affection alone. Love is fragile, gratitude fades, but fear endures. A ruler who wishes to last must command respect through discipline and command obedience through fear of consequence. Not cruelty without reason, not tyranny for pleasure, but calculated fear that reminds people of strength. For when people no longer fear their ruler, they begin to test him, and when they test him, they eventually destroy him. Think of power not as light, but as shadow. It does not shine by itself, it takes shape only when it blocks the light of others. To gain power, one must be willing to take what others will not. To preserve it, one must be willing to act in ways others cannot. This is the cost of leadership. Those who cling to morality too tightly will find it slipping through their hands, because power does not belong to those who hesitate. It belongs to those who seize it. History remembers the powerful not for their kindness, but for their effectiveness. Caesar crossed the Rubicon not because it was lawful, but because it was necessary. Kings and emperors throughout centuries maintained control not by generosity, but by force, deception, and strategy. Even in modern times, power operates the same way. Behind every law, every institution, every empire, there are hidden calculations, compromises, and manipulations. Power never shows its true face to the public. It wears the mask of legitimacy, but beneath it lies the ruthless will to dominate. The dark side of power is also its fragility. Power is never truly secure. It must be defended constantly. A leader cannot afford to be careless, because every ally could one day become an enemy, every friend a rival, every supporter a traitor. The throne is not a seat of rest. It is a battlefield where attacks come from every direction, and those who fail to understand this reality are consumed by it. This is why Machiavelli does not waste time with illusions. He forces us to look into the shadows, to recognize that power is built not on ideals, but on control, fear, and perception. It is not a reward for goodness. It is a prize for the strategic. It is not given freely. It is taken, defended, and if necessary, stolen again. Those who dream of power as something clean and honorable will never hold it, because the true nature of power is darker, sharper, and far more dangerous than they dare to believe. Life is a battlefield disguised as civilization. You and I walk through streets built on illusions where order, morality, and justice are paraded as if they rule the world. But look closer and you will see something else. You will see that power is the silent architect of every throne, every fortune, every empire. And here lies the first brutal truth. Life is not fair, and power is not given to the noble or the just. It is seized by the cunning. We are taught to believe in merit, in effort, in morality. From childhood, we are told that if we are good, if we are honest, if we are hardworking, then power and success will naturally come to us. This is the story society repeats, because it keeps the majority obedient, hopeful, and harmless. But Machiavelli warns us, this is not reality. Reality is that power belongs to those who understand human weakness, those who manipulate appearances, and those who strike when opportunity arises. A leader who waits to be rewarded for his virtue will starve. A ruler who believes people value honesty more than strength will collapse. Life does not reward purity, it rewards strategy, and strategy often demands that we wear masks. The great leaders throughout history, Caesar, Napoleon, Bismarck, were not saints. They were actors on the stage of politics, carefully projecting the virtues their people admired while secretly practicing the ruthless arts of control. Consider this paradox. It is more important to seem good than to be good. The world judges with its eyes, not with its conscience. A leader can lie, deceive, betray, and still be praised as virtuous if he knows how to manage appearances. People do not have the patience to look deeply. They see what is shown, they hear what is told, and they believe the story presented to them. Machiavelli tells us plainly, men in general judge more by their eyes than by their hands, for everyone can see, but few can touch. The dark reality of life and power is that survival often demands deception. A ruler cannot afford to live in a dream where truth and justice govern all. He must live in reality where betrayal is common, where loyalty is fragile, and where enemies wait in silence. To endure, he must bend morality to the demands of necessity, and necessity is the true law of power. Think of it this way, life is a chessboard, the pieces do not move themselves. The virtuous pawn who never learns strategy will be sacrificed early. The cunning player, however, sees 10 moves ahead, manipulates perception, and shapes the battlefield in his favor. He understands that power is not about fairness, but about foresight. This truth extends beyond rulers and kings. Even in the lives of ordinary people, power flows to those who play the game. In workplaces, it is rarely the most hardworking employee who rises. It is the one who understands relationships, who creates influence, who uses timing to seize opportunity. In friendships, in families, in communities, the one who knows how to control perception gains authority. You may dislike this, you may resist it, but look carefully around you and you will see it happening everywhere. Machiavelli strips away the illusions we comfort ourselves with. He shows us that life itself is war, sometimes silent, sometimes violent, but always war. Those who cling blindly to ideals often become prey. Those who adapt, those who are willing to bend when the wind shifts, are the ones who endure. He does not say this to encourage cruelty for its own sake, but to remind us that power is never clean, and those who expect fairness will be devoured by those who understand strategy. A ruler, therefore, must not seek to be loved for his goodness alone. He must accept that love fades, but power, once secured by fear, respect, and calculation, can endure. To survive in the harsh theater of life, one must be willing to do what others will not. This is the dark reality of power, and it begins with the courage to see life not as it should be, but as it truly is. People, they are the raw material of every kingdom, every empire, every democracy, every company, every family. Leaders rise and fall depending on their ability to control them. But here is the unvarnished truth that most dare not say aloud. People are not loyal, they are not consistent, and they are not guided by gratitude. People are guided by self-interest, and that self-interest changes with the wind. Machiavelli understood this with brutal clarity. He did not write for dreamers or idealists. He wrote for those who sought to survive the treachery of politics and human nature. And what he tells us is simple. If you build your power on trust, on friendship, on loyalty, you build it on sand. The same hands that applaud you today will reach for daggers tomorrow, should they feel you no longer serve their needs. Think of history's great betrayals. Julius Caesar was not killed by strangers. He was murdered by those he called friends. Kings were overthrown not by foreign armies, but by their closest allies. Leaders who trusted in love and loyalty discovered that people's affection is fleeting, and their gratitude evaporates as quickly as water in the sun. A man may serve his people for years, protecting them, enriching them, elevating them, and the moment he falters, the same people will curse his name. People are not inherently evil, but they are inherently self-serving. They love you as long as you provide. They respect you as long as you appear strong. But when scarcity appears, when danger arrives, when another leader offers them more, their loyalty dissolves. Machiavelli warns us, men are quick to forget the good you have done, but never forget the injury you cause. This is why power cannot rest on affection alone. It must be built on something stronger. Watch how people behave when fear enters the room. Their words change, their actions shift, their loyalties bend. Fear and necessity command obedience more reliably than love. Love is voluntary, it can vanish without warning. Fear is survival, and survival is the deepest instinct of all. A wise leader understands that while being loved is desirable, being feared is indispensable. Consider also how easily people are deceived. They judge by appearances, not by truth. They are satisfied with symbols and illusions rather than reality. A ruler who understands this can guide them not by honesty, but by perception. To appear just, merciful, and generous often matters more than to actually be so. People will accept the illusion of virtue if it comforts them, and they will rarely dig deeper to test it. This is not cynicism, it is observation. Look at the masses of today, just as in the past. Their opinions shift with the news cycle, their loyalty changes with trends, their emotions are stirred by spectacle more than substance. And those who command the spectacle command the people. Machiavelli teaches us that if you wish to lead, you must never rely on their gratitude or love. You must instead understand their desires, their fears, and their weaknesses, and then position yourself as the one who satisfies or controls them. Even in ordinary life, this truth reveals itself. Think of friendships that wither when you can no longer provide support. Think of alliances in workplaces that dissolve when promotions are at stake. Think of promises broken when temptation enters. It is not rare, it is the default. People act according to what benefits them, and once you understand this, you stop expecting permanence. You begin to calculate, to anticipate betrayal before it comes, and to position yourself where you cannot easily be harmed. The dark reality of people is not that they are monsters, but that they are fragile, inconsistent, and ruled by self-interest. Their loyalty is as temporary as the conditions that created it. Their affection depends on your ability to serve their needs. Their respect hinges on your strength. To trust blindly in them is to invite disaster. To understand them, however, to see through the mask they wear, to anticipate their turning points, this is the art of survival and the essence of power. Power is not sustained by kindness. Power is not preserved by generosity. Power is not a gift, nor is it permanent. Power is held together by psychology, by the delicate balance of fear, respect, and necessity. Those who misunderstand this balance lose control, for the masses obey not out of love, but out of compulsion. Machiavelli exposes this truth with an almost surgical clarity. A leader who relies only on affection is weak, but a leader who commands through fear and respect endures. To understand the psychology of power, you must first understand human nature. People are not guided by loyalty but by emotion. They respect strength and follow confidence. They despise weakness, and when they sense it, they tear it apart. This is why leaders who try to rule purely with kindness often meet their downfall. Their generosity makes them appear soft. Their compassion is mistaken for vulnerability, and their tolerance invites disobedience. When there is no fear of consequence, people test boundaries until they break them. Fear, however, creates order. Fear is the silent guardian that holds societies together. It does not mean cruelty for its own sake, nor violence without reason. It means that people must believe in your ability to enforce consequences. A leader who cannot punish cannot lead. A ruler who cannot command obedience will be ignored. Machiavelli reminds us that it is far safer to be feared than to be loved if one cannot be both, because fear is reliable. Fear endures when love fades. Fear compels action even when admiration has disappeared. But fear alone is not enough. Too much cruelty, too much tyranny breeds hatred. And hatred is dangerous, for hatred creates rebellion. The art of control is therefore a delicate one. You must inspire enough fear to ensure obedience, but not so much that you awaken the desire for revenge. You must be firm enough to be respected, but also measured enough to be tolerated. This is the balance: respected enough to command, feared enough to be obeyed, yet not despised enough to be overthrown. Appearances play an equally critical role in this psychology. A leader must project strength at all times. Even when weak, even when uncertain, he must appear unshakable, because perception is power. If people believe you are strong, they will treat you as strong. If they believe you are weak, they will exploit you without hesitation. This is why Machiavelli insisted that rulers learn to wear masks. It is not necessary to be virtuous. It is necessary to appear virtuous. It is not necessary to be fearless. It is necessary to look fearless. In politics, perception becomes reality. Control, at its core, is psychological. It is about understanding that people are ruled not by logic, but by fear of loss, by desire for gain, and by the respect they feel for authority. To master control, you must know which of these strings to pull. Some must be ruled through their greed, others through their fear, others through their admiration. The wise leader studies his people like a physician studies the body, diagnosing weaknesses, understanding habits, and prescribing measures that ensure obedience. And yet, there is an even darker layer. Control is not just about punishing disobedience or rewarding loyalty. It is about shaping the very environment people live in. When you shape their choices, when you define the boundaries of what is possible, they believe they are free while still walking inside your walls. That is the highest form of power, not the visible whip, but the invisible cage. When people feel their choices are their own, but in reality those choices lead only to outcomes you have designed, then you no longer need constant force. They obey themselves while obeying you. The psychology of power is therefore a theater, a performance, a constant game of appearances and consequences. It is the understanding that human beings are not consistent, not logical, not loyal by nature. They are emotional, opportunistic, and easily swayed. To control them is to master these tendencies, to predict their reactions, to use their weaknesses to secure strength. Machiavelli does not present this as cruelty, but as survival. For in a world of deception, betrayal, and ambition, only those who understand the dark psychology of power will hold it long enough to shape history. Scarcity is one of the most dangerous and effective weapons of power. It does not need armies, it does not need violence, it does not even need constant enforcement. It works silently, invisibly, and relentlessly. When something becomes scarce, its value multiplies. When access is limited, desire grows uncontrollable. And when people crave what they cannot easily obtain, the one who controls supply becomes their master. Machiavelli knew that scarcity was not merely an economic condition. It was a tool of domination, a weapon sharper than any sword. Consider how people behave in times of abundance. When food is plentiful, when resources are overflowing, when opportunities appear endless, gratitude vanishes. People become careless. They stop fearing the provider, they forget who secured their comfort, and they begin to demand more. Abundance breeds entitlement. But when scarcity appears, when the flow slows, when hunger or desperation rises, loyalty is rekindled. The provider suddenly becomes indispensable, and every morsel, every coin, every chance feels like a gift. This is why rulers throughout history have used scarcity as a method of control. Imagine a ruler who gives freely, without measure, without limits. At first, the people adore him. They praise his generosity, they celebrate his kindness. But soon, what was once treasured becomes expected. Gifts become rights, and rights are quickly taken for granted. When the ruler can no longer provide at that level, the same people who once praised him now turn against him. They no longer see generosity, they see betrayal. This is the curse of giving without strategy. Machiavelli warns against it. To give too much is to weaken authority, to erode respect, and to invite rebellion. Now imagine the opposite, a ruler who gives carefully, sparingly, strategically. He controls the flow, ensuring that people never feel completely satisfied. They receive enough to survive, enough to hope, enough to remain loyal, but never enough to become independent. This scarcity ensures obedience, because people cling to the one who holds the key to their needs. They beg for what he rations. They remain grateful for what little they receive, because they fear losing it altogether. In this way, scarcity transforms the ruler into a godlike figure, the source of all that sustains life. This same principle extends far beyond kingdoms and thrones. In relationships, in business, in politics, scarcity creates demand. A leader who is too available loses respect. A resource that is too common loses value. But when access is restricted, when presence is limited, when opportunities are rare, people chase, people beg, people fight. Scarcity creates urgency, and urgency compels action. Look at modern markets. Why do companies release limited editions? Why do they manufacture shortages of products, keeping people waiting in lines? Because scarcity manipulates human psychology. It transforms want into obsession. People desire not because they need, but because they fear missing out. This is no different in politics, in leadership, in the pursuit of power. When you control what others fear to lose, you hold them in your hand. Machiavelli understood the paradox of generosity. He understood that rulers who give too much breed contempt, but rulers who control scarcity command loyalty. He advised leaders to appear generous, to create spectacles of giving, but to do so in ways that did not drain their strength. True generosity is not in giving endlessly. It is in giving rarely, precisely, and strategically. It is in creating the illusion of abundance while secretly rationing supply. In this way, people remain dependent, hopeful, and obedient. Scarcity also has another effect. It unites people under pressure. When there is little to go around, individuals stop questioning the authority that controls distribution. They direct their anger not at the provider, but at one another. Rivalries emerge, competition intensifies, and the ruler, sitting above the chaos, strengthens his grip. By simply limiting access, he diverts the hostility of the masses away from himself and into conflict with their neighbors. The power of scarcity is dangerous because it preys on the deepest instincts of survival. Hunger, fear, desperation. These forces strip away morality, strip away reason, and leave only obedience. A man who is comfortable may resist authority, but a man who is starving will kneel. Leaders who understand this do not need to swing swords or build prisons. They only need to control the flow of what people cannot live without. And when they do, they possess power greater than armies, greater than laws, greater than faith. Power is not what the world pretends it to be. It is not noble, it is not fair, and it is not built on virtue. It is built on strategy, on control, on fear, and on the manipulation of human desire. The dark reality of life is that those who wait for justice are crushed, while those who seize opportunity endure. The dark reality of people is that loyalty fades, gratitude disappears, and self-interest always wins. The dark psychology of power is that control survives only when fear and respect are carefully balanced, when appearances are stronger than truth. And the dangerous force of scarcity is that it makes men beg, obey, and even worship those who ration what they crave. This is the world Machiavelli reveals to us. A world where survival belongs not to the pure, but to the cunning. A world where illusions guide the many and hard truths guide the few. The question is not whether you agree with these realities, because reality does not bend to opinion. The only question is whether you will continue to live blind to them, or whether you will open your eyes and finally learn to play the game